So our first guest is Dr. Jerry Weichman, licensed psychologist. He's an adolescent specialist, author, speaker, and parenting expert. He is recognized as an expert on teens and teen crisis issues, and through his public speaking and private practice provides relevant solutions to teen and parenting challenging. He suffered a right leg amputation as an infant, and Dr. Jerry's formative years were particularly rife with emotional and social pitfalls. To deal with his insecurities and stress and depression, he developed a collection of survival tools, literally one tool at a time. And while in college, Dr. Jerry further developed and enhanced the tool belt approach through extensive research while completing master's and PhD programs. I want to welcome to my show today Dr. Jerry Weichman. Good morning. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you.
You did a lot, and you're only 35 years old. I can't believe it.
Thank you very much.
So, anyhow, tell us, you've got a new book out, right?
It's been out for a year and a half or so. The parenting book will come out, but I have the book for the teenagers out today called How to Deal.
And basically, why and where and how, did you decide to do this one? Why?
Well, it kind of came to me over time as I was going through my PhD program and just out in life. Whenever I'd be outdoors, I would start having ideas that would come to me. And, at first I didn't do much about it, but the ideas kept coming. So all I did was I carried around a recorder, and I just, said what was ever on my mind into the recorder. And over the course of a couple of months, I put it on a spreadsheet, and lo and behold, I've got a book. And so I realized that there were so many things that I was learning in my own life or in my programs or the teens that I was working with and their families that people can do to feel better and teens can do to feel better. And from what I've seen, the majority of teens struggle. Not a lot of them talk about it, but the majority of them are struggling in some shape, way, or form.
It's really interesting. I was just thinking about this, Jerry, if you don't mind me calling Dr. Jerry.
You call me whatever you like.
Whatever I like. Oh, good.
I didn't do it for the title.
Okay. Well, I was thinking back to my teenage years, and maybe we didn't talk about it as much, and maybe we didn't have the same things. But there are certain things that we really didn't have what kids do today, and they have the opportunities to at least express themselves and, about abuse and neglect and a lot of other stuff where we didn't or were afraid to because of the institutions we had to deal with. Mm-hmm. So, I think that in every generation, right, there's different situations, but in the sense, they're almost all the same. We've always had bullying. We just didn't have cyberbullying.
Correct.
Correct?
Very correct.
And let's talk about what, and it's very hard for parents today because their kids in some respects are smarter, sometimes on computers and other social networking situations than their parents are. I happen to be very hip at 66 because I understand social networking, and my young crew would agree, right? Right. And they're shaking their head yes. Because I believe that parents should be on board looking at these Facebooks and Twitters and everything else that's out there because that helps protect their kids. What do you think?
I think you're absolutely correct. I think that what I've seen is that at this stage in life, when they start becoming teenagers, they really start creating two different personas, one for adults in front of teachers, parents, coaches, whatnot, and a separate one that's kind of what I call their underground persona, which is what they're doing online, their sexual texts, their video strip teases, their stuff they're saying, their cyberbullying, or even being the recipient of a bully online. And the problem with the internet is that, it's a vehicle. You can get across the country and across the world in a half a second. You never give your kid a car and say, go wherever you want, just make sure you're home by 12 o'clock. So I think it's really, really important for parents to monitor. I can't tell you in the 12 years I've been doing this how many highly educated, highly invested parents I've seen that had really no clue what was going on behind the scenes. So I think it's imperative that parents have stuff like software monitoring on the computer. There's keyloggers and stuff that they can have on their kids' computers and stuff they can put on their kids' phones that will enable them to track them and see what they're actually up to.
Well, one of the things, and I'm going to ask Golly and I'm going to ask Ash. Come on, just get on the thing and we can talk here.
Aston.
Aston. See, that's a new name actually. I've never had this is your first time I've heard that name, Aston.
Right.
Okay, it's a beautiful name. It's actually a beautiful name. And, these guys are, you just turned 21 today.
On Monday.
On Monday. Happy birthday.
Thank you.
And Golly is a gorgeous, these are my young producers, and they are in this generation, okay, not the actual teen generation, but they're in that X generation or Y. What? Above generation, whatever it is. And what do you guys think? I mean, you are out there with teens. You're out there in the know with situations. Tell me what it was like for you guys.
I mean, in high school, there was that pressure, to do stuff like that. And, the text messages and, with the Internet and stuff, it makes it hard for you to be, just try to do young stuff, without trying to pressure, to send risky photos or try to do stuff when you have like a girlfriend or something like that. You got to fight, not to do that. But I was raised, I had the software. My mom tracked me, exactly where I was at. And I had the computer stuff where she knew what website I was going on. So,
right.
And MySpace was a huge thing back when I was growing up in high school. Not as much as it is now as Facebook. But she knew exactly what I was on.
Well, one of the things I want to ask you, Dr. Jerry, and then I want to ask Golly what because she's a little older than Aston, and just a minute, we had a phone call that just came in. We're going to have somebody come over here and get this phone real quick. And anyhow, I wanted to let you guys know that I think what's scary, and I just want yours and Dr. Jerry's feeling, that so many kids put stuff on Facebook, and they don't realize what's out there on Facebook, and they don't realize that predators are out there looking for, and it could be a very innocent, very, very innocent picture, or maybe not so innocent picture that is out there for a while. What do you guys think about that?
Well, I think you're absolutely correct. I mean, I think that, Facebook and MySpace formerly, it's all about perception. So what I'm seeing with the teens today is they're taking 30 pictures to get one really good picture to try to raise what I call their social stock, which is how they're perceived and received by their peers. Some of them have their profiles set as private, but there are always going to be predators trolling around looking like teenagers to get to teens. I mean, that's just unfortunately the state of our society today.
And that's happened to me just being up on a billboard. We got stalked. And and it doesn't matter how old you are. You don't put stuff out there. I mean, I even know people that are older than teens, the parents, that put stuff out there. They don't realize what they're putting up on Facebook. Don't understand if they put something mean up on Facebook, like the bullying part of it, or even not even the bullying part of it, just something unkind. How many people see that?
Yeah. Well, back in the day, before the Internet was created and computers were around, we had smartphones. I mean, teens wouldn't just, they would vent and talk over the phone or face-to-face. And now we've got the Internet, and the Internet's a completely different vehicle just because, you throw something against the wall and now it sticks.
That's the unfortunate part of it.
And the stuff that they put up is going to be trackable and traceable for the rest of their lives, regardless of who they become in the future.
Right. We're going to have to take a short break, Dr. Jerry, but we'll be right back with you in just a moment after these very important messages.
And now back to Let's Just Talk with Cincinnati's own Kathryn Raaker.
All right, we're back with Dr. Jerry Weichman, the author of How to Deal. And that's how to deal with your teenagers, I suppose, and the parents, wouldn't you say?
It's actually a book for the kids. Actually.
It's really a book for the kids.
Yeah.
But you know what? It would be good for the parents to read it, too.
I've had a lot of parents read it and actually they read it, want to read it before their kids do, and they come back to me and it really helped me with my individual life.
Well, the other thing is I think sometimes we parents get so stressed out that we forget to take time for our kids and to give them the time that they need to listen to them. And, nothing in life, I believe, is more important than taking time, even if it's 20 minutes with your children, especially with teens, because they have so many things going on and so many stresses. You have a practice, right, as well, Doc, right?
Correct.
Am I correct?
Correct.
That you counsel teens. There's so many teen suicides today that it frightens me that we're not listening enough to our kids. You want to talk about that for a minute?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think part of it is that, you're absolutely right. There's life gets so busy at this stage when you have an adolescent, and you've got if you have multiple kids, you've got to work. There's so much going on, and there's so much going on the flip side for your kid. And predominantly, so much of the parent-child interaction is negative because it's about what's not right or what hasn't been done yet or what isn't picked up. And that starts to have a conditioning effect between the kids and their parents. That's partly why when you knock on their door to ask them a question, they're always going, what? Because it's, what did I do now? What are you going to get on me for? So I think it is really important for parents to kind of start monitoring, talking to their kids, and start writing down. I encourage parents to write down, spend 15 minutes writing down what you admire or appreciate about your son or your daughter. And, take one off the list once a week and just, drop it on them in passing. Just, hey, I was just thinking today about how much I admire that you do this. Those little things go such a long way. Other things that parents can do is start looking for what are certain things that might be leading those kids down those dark paths. Your kid doesn't come with a manual, so there's certain kind of warning signs that parents need to look for with their kids. Certain things would be and include, changes in sleep. They start sleeping more or less than they used to. They'll see a drop in grades. They'll see a problem concentrating. Change in appearance or their routine. They'll get sick more often. They'll skip school. They'll become isolative. They won't find pleasure in normally enjoyable activities. These are some of just the red flags that parents need to be looking for, because you only need really one or two of these to start thinking, man, I might have a problem here.
Doc, how can people get your book?
They can go to my website, drjerryweichman.com. It's just drjerryweichman.com. It's also available on Amazon.
All right, and that's great. And I can't thank you enough for coming on our show today.
Thank you for having me.
And we'll have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. Thank you so much. Go out and get that book, How to Deal.